trillion naira by the end of December 2018.
Senior Democrats have responded by accusing AIM of committing a gross offence.
The All Progressives Congress has vowed to punish the Ogun State Governor, Ibikunle Amosun.
Welcome to Celebration Television News Desk. I am Akosile Nicholas Walter, and here are the news making the headlines. 50% Nigerian women offline and can't access internet, says UNICEF. Libya Interior Minister and only presidential aspirant rallies support. Texas Governor GREGABBOTT bans mandatory vaccination in state. BUHARI approves panel for 2.66 trillion naira recovery from oil firms. Germany first to qualify for Qatar 2022. You stay with us as we bring you details of our news after the short break. You're welcome back and thanks for joining us. Now the news in full. 50% Nigerian women are offline and can't access internet, says UNICEF. Over 50% of Nigerian women are offline with no access to the internet, while 20% were less likely than men to own smartphones, creating an exclusion gap, the United Nations Children Fund lamented. And the organization also expressed concerns over the rate at which adolescent girls in Nigeria drop out of schools, estimating it at over 1.3 million annually. The UNICEF Deputy Representative in Nigeria, Roshnan Muzata, said these in her presentation during the 2021 International Day of the Girl Child with the theme, Digital Generation, Our Generation. The organization said the adolescent girls drop out of school before reaching the last year of lower secondary education. According to her, digital inclusion and digital literacy was becoming crucial to well-being and success as the ability to read and write. Osata said over 1.3 million Nigerian adolescent girls are estimated to drop out of every year before reaching the last year of lower secondary education. On digital access on low and middle income countries such as Nigeria, more than 50% of women are offline, and women are 20% less likely than men to own a smartphone. Digital inclusion, and specifically digital literacy, is becoming just as crucial to well-being and success as the ability to read and write. Moving forward quickly, federal government stopped residency payment after strike suspension, says NED. Fresh crisis may be brewing between the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors and the federal government, as the association accused the government of already deviating from the understanding reached before it suspended its strike last week. This was as the association this happened as the association also accused the government of causing confusion among its members and suspending payments of medical residency training funds. The national president of NAD, Dr. Dari Ishaya, disclosed this in an interview in Abuja. But the Minister of Labor and Employment, CRUSADES, said there was no truth in the claim. Reports had it that the association, after interventions by the Nigerian Medical Association, suspended its industrial actions with the aim of holding a meeting of the National Executive Committee to review the activities of the federal government 6 weeks after. The NED commenced its industrial actions on August 2, 2021. Sources familiar with the matter said since the association suspended its industrial action, the federal government stopped the payment of medical residency training fund, which commenced before the strike was suspended. However, Ngige confirmed the aspect of non-payment of salaries, saying the case was still in court while government was working towards an out-of-court settlement. He said the striking doctors will not be paid for the months they did not work. On the residency fund, the minister said the payment was suspended because some individuals who were not resident doctors were paid. In another development, quickly, IPOB disowns Andy Uba and cautions politicians. The indigenous people of Biafra has denied holding a meeting with the candidate of Your Progressives Congress, Senator Andy Uba, over the Anambra State governorship election scheduled for November 6th. The group's Media and Publicity Secretary, Ima Powerful, stated this in a statement on Monday. An online medium had 2 days ago reported that Uba had a meeting with a secessionist group over the poll. However, the secessionist group in a statement said the attention of the indigenous people of the Biafra has been drawn to the laughable and disgraceful statement credited to the governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress in the Anambra election, Andy Uba, that he met with IPOB members to discuss the forthcoming governorship polls. They made it categorically clear that Andy Uba met nobody in IPOB. IPOB has no interest in the elections and could not have met with Andy Uba or anybody or politicians for that matter to discuss anything pertaining to the elections. And coming from around Africa, Libya Interior Minister and only presidential aspirant rallies support. Former Interior Minister Fatih Bashagha, the only Libya so far to publicly announce a run for president imposed due on December 24th, has put security and economic reform at the heart of his speech. The polls will end a year that started badly for the 59-year-old in February. He was narrowly beaten in elections to the post of interim prime minister as part of the UN-led peace efforts. That same month, he survived what aides called a well-planned assassination attempt, a hail of bullets fired at his convoy on a highway near Tripoli. But Bashagha, a heavyweight in Libya politics and champion of efforts to integrate the North African country's many militias into the state, is not backing down. He wants to get Libya back on its feet by reviving the crisis-hit economy, he said in an interview in his garden in Tripoli suburbs. The December polls are part of United Nations-led efforts to turn the page on a decade of violence in the North African country just over a year after a landmark ceasefire between eastern and western camps. A unity government took office in March with a mandate to lead Libya to presidential and parliamentary polls, a process overshadowed by disputes over the legal basis for the votes following years of division and collapse of the state. And still coming from around Africa, travelers to now pay for COVID testing at airports in Angola. Rapid tests and compulsory has been made compulsory since January on arrival in Angola, and hitherto free of charge will now be paid for. A new government decree defines the cost of 31,850 kwanzas, which is equivalent to 46 euros for a test to be carried out at the Quatro de Ferraro International Airport in Luanda. Paid but not at the time the person is tested, the amount will be charged when the airline tickets is purchased through a health fee that the airline company then hands over to the Angolan state. The initiative is part of the fight against the spread of the coronavirus. Among the measures taken by the Luanda to try to limit the spread of the coronavirus is the obligation for users of public and private services to present proof of vaccination. Angola has already vaccinated 7.7% of its 32 million inhabitants as of September 1st. Authorities lifted the lockdown in place in Luanda since March 2020, and the quarantine period for persons fully vaccinated arriving in Angola has also been lifted. We'll go on a short break. When we come back, we'll bring you updates from the United States of America. Don't go anywhere, please.
What business are you planning to showcase to the world? That which will satisfy the need of humanity? Of course, with Celebration TV, it will get the desired reciprocation you long for. We are committed to giving your business and services that quality touch of class, and you will be happy you made the right choice by placing that investment of yours on the right platform. Without delay, you can call on this number for your advert placement, partnership, or sponsorship of our programs. Celebration Television, your best bet.
You're welcome back and many thanks for joining. Now updates from United States of America. Texas Governor GREGABBOTT bans mandatory vaccination in state. Governor GREGABBOTT has issued an executive order banning all entities, including private companies, from enforcing vaccinations in Texas. Mr. Abbott, a Republican, has been one of the most vocal U.S. leaders opposed to making coronavirus vaccines mandatory. He has made similar edicts since the start of the pandemic, but this is the first to include private employers and their customers. The governor has called on state lawmakers to pass a ban into law. Mr. Abbott said that the COVID-19 vaccine is safe, effective, and our best defense against the virus, but should remain voluntary and never forced. The move will pit him against Democratic President Joe Biden, who called on firms last month to introduce mandatory vaccines for obvious death. State state executive orders usually carry the force of law, but can be invalidated by judicial review if they are deemed in violation of state laws and codes. Earlier this year, the governor lifted the requirement to wear masks in the state, and he also signed an executive order in August against mandatory vaccinations for people who work in government agencies, including public schools and universities. But soon after, the order, two local courts ruled against it, and the Texas Education Agency announced that it would not enforce the ban. Mr. Abbott tested positive for coronavirus in August during a statewide surge of cases of hospitalizations. He credited his quick recovery to being fully vaccinated. The latest order comes as Mr. Abbott faces pressure from two rival candidates in next year's Republican primary, former state Senator Don Hofines and former Florida Congressman Alden West. Both competitors are strongly opposed to vaccine mandates. And more updates coming from UK, United Kingdom. UK starts pandemic worst public health failure ever, Member of Parliament has said. The UK's failure to do more to stop COVID spreading early in the pandemic was one of the most important public health failures the UK has ever experienced, the report by Member of Parliament has said. And the government approach, backed by its scientists, was to try to manage the situation and in effect achieve herd immunity by infection, it said. This led to a delay in introducing the first lockdown, costing lives. But the report highlights successes too, including the vaccination rollout. It described the whole approach to vaccination from the research and development through to the rollout of the jabs as one of the most effective initiatives in UK history. The report predominantly focuses on the response to the pandemic in England, and the committee did not look at steps taken individually by Wales, Northern Ireland, and Scotland. The findings are detailed in the long-awaited report, Coronavirus Lessons Learned to Date from the Health and Social Care Committee and the Science and Technology Committee, which contain Member of Parliaments from all parties. Across 150 pages, the committees cover a variety of successes and failings over the course of the pandemic, which has claimed more than 150,000 lives to date and is described by the Member of Parliament as the biggest peacetime challenge for a century. And quickly, we'll move straight to business news. And on business news, Buhari approves panel for 2.66 trillion naira recovery from oil firms. President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the recovery of debts owed the Federation by government agencies and oil and gas companies in the country's extractive sector. On September 29, 2021, reports had it that the indebtedness of 77 oil and gas companies in Nigeria was 2.66 trillion naira, according to data released by the Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative. Commenting on the need to recovery the funds, the Chief Executive Officer, Nigeria Financial Intelligence Unit, Modibo Tuko, in a statement he issued in Abuja on Monday by NATI, stated that Buhari had given approval for the recovery of the money. He explained that there would be a consolidation of the data coming from NATI, NFIU, and other anti-corruption agencies, and when the recovery panel finally settles down to work. The settlement further stated that NATI had signed a memorandum of understanding with the NFIU to share information and data to check fraud and other financial malfeasance in the oil sector. And still on business news, Nigeria must tackle debt challenges, says AFDB president. The president of the African Development Bank, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, has urged the country to decisively tackle debt challenges, adding that debt service costs and the poor foreign exchange policies are the major setbacks to the country's economic growth. Adesina said this during the midterm ministerial performance review retreat, which was held visually and physically at the presidential villa on Monday. He emphasized the need to fix the country's economic structure. He said Nigeria must decisively tackle its debt challenges. And the issue is not about the debt to GDP ratio, as Nigeria's debt to DGP ratio at 35% is actually still moderate. He asked for the removal of structural bottleneck restricting productivity and revenue earning potential. The AFDB president further advised the government to boost productivity in the non-oil sector with the right fiscal and macroeconomic policies. We'll go on a short break right now. When we come back, we'll bring you sport news. Do well to stay with us.
What business are you planning to showcase to the world? That which will satisfy the need of humanity? Of course, with Celebration TV, it will get the desired reciprocation you long for. We are committed to giving your business and services that quality touch of class, and you will be happy you made the right choice by placing that investment of yours on the right platform. Without delay, you can call on this number for your advert placement, partnership, or sponsorship of our programs. Celebration Television, your best bet.
Welcome to Sports News, and on Sports News, Germany first to qualify for Qatar 2022. A Timo winner double has helped Germany stamp their ticket for the 2022 World Cup with a 4-0 win over North Macedonia. But Belgium will have to wait until next month after Wales carved out a narrow win in Estonia. Hansi Flick's men avenged a shock 2-1 home loss to the Macedonians earlier this year to claim their 7th win in 8 qualifiers and take an unassailable 8-point lead at the top of Group J with 2 matches remaining. And Germany went into the match in Skopje knowing that they could secure the passage if they won. The Armenian failed to beat Romania. After a goalless first half, Kai Havertz broke the deadlock 5 minutes after the interval before Chelsea winner struck twice in 3 minutes to clinch the tie for the Germans. His first came on 70th minute when Thomas Muller, who had teed up Havertz, flinched the ball into the path of Werner, who crashed the ball past Stol Dimitrievich in the Macedonia goal. 3 minutes later, substitute Florian Wirtz got the touch through for Werner to call his shot past Dimitrievich and chalk up his 5th goal in his last 5 qualifiers. German Musiala, 18 years and 227 days old, rounded things up with his first goal in international football, becoming the youngest person to score for Germany since Marius Hiller, then 17, scored against Switzerland in 1910. In another sports news, AGUERO and DEMBELE return to Barcelona training. Sergio Aguero and Ousmane Dembele both returned to training for Barcelona on Monday, with neither having played yet this season, the beleaguered Catalan giant said. Argentina striker Aguero, who joined from Manchester City and a close season, is still waiting to make his Barca debut after suffering a right calf injury in August. French forward Dembele is returning after surgery and a knee injury he sustained in June. The news will be a welcome boost for Barca coach Ronald Koeman, whose side have made a poor start to the campaign, losing twice without scoring in the Champions League group stage. According to Spanish media reports, Aguero and Dembele could even feature against Valencia in La Liga on Sunday. The 33-year-old Aguero left Man City after a decade at the club, in which he became their all-time record scorer with 260 goals. And that has brought us to the end of the news on Celebration Television News Desk. In case you're just joining us, here's the news headlines recap. 50% Nigerian women offline and can't access internet, says UNICEF. Libya Interior Minister and only presidential aspirant rallies support. Texas Governor GREGABBOTT bans mandatory vaccination in states. Buhari approves panel for 2.66 trillion naira recovery from oil firms. And Germany first to qualify for Qatar 2022. And quickly we have a photo of the day. And can you see somebody at the start line actually looking ahead, looking very far? What does that depict? Life is a journey, and everything you want to achieve is part of life's journey. Don't be afraid. Start. This is the very best time to start right now. You can drop your comment on our social media platform on Facebook, Celebration TV, Instagram, My Celebration TV, Twitter, at My Celebration TV, YouTube, Celebration TV. Do not forget that your positive contribution to the wellness of a society you find yourself or the organization you work defines your leadership mind. As an individual who knows what to do and do without expecting to be pushed has backed his ways to success. Be it known today that everything we do, think, feel, and believe either has a positive or negative effect on humanity and national well-being. Be a part of nation building today. Thanks so much for staying with us. I remain Akosile Nicholas Walter. Stay blessed.
To 15.7 trillion naira by the end of December 2019.
Senior Democrats have responded by accusing AIM of committing a gross of
The All Progressives Congress has vowed to punish the Ogun State Governor, Ibikule Amosu.